contemporary things. It's a bad deal. How you doing? Okay, so we've been doing John. What I want to do, we've got 3 weeks left. You know, I want to keep on going through these materials with as much perspicuity, if there is any, as possible. And I do want to skip over to be sure we get the resurrection and crucifixion resurrection materials. So I'm going to do a little bit more of John, then I'm going to try to move over to the end materials, so that gives me a chance to go back to the beginning materials that we might have skipped if we have time. That's my it's tough to go through all the Gospels like this. So let's see. I'm just going to nip over here to John. If you can, John 10 and 11, or 11 and 12. This stuff is very revealing. And I told you if you would help me to look for all the alabaster flask episodes where women come and suddenly are walking in with alabaster flasks, and there's about 7 of them who pour ointment on them, and they're all different women. And it's really just one spin-off off the next, off the next, off the next, off the next. And you can't really judge any of those as historical. But forget that. Let's look at this. John, God, you never know where to begin with these things. Well, if you begin in chapter 7, our friend Nicodemus pops up at the end of chapter 7, 7:50. I mean, there's just one other, there's one thing after another that one could point to. Here's line 41. 35. Then the Jews said among themselves, like there's some foreign people here, and not one of his own people. The Americans said themselves against Kennedy. No, you don't talk like that if you're an American. It's not an American. It's not a Jewish person writing these things. He is about to go to the diaspora among the Greeks and teach the Greeks. Well, of course, that's what Paul does, and that's basically Paul Jesus. So all the Gospels have the similar approach, some more, some less. Others said, line 41 or 40, this is truly the prophet, or truly this is the prophet. That's the true prophet ideology we get in the Pseudo-Clementines, which is the Ebionite ideology. So these are the different groups. The Gospels know the different groups, what they're saying about Jesus. The Ebionites, if you recall, and I can't go into again all what the Ebionites are, but I've described it in several books. The Ebionites are the group following James. Ebion means poor. The Dead Sea Scrolls call themselves the Ebionim, the poor. And they're basically portrayed for you in documents like the Pseudo-Clementine homilies and recognitions. And there the main idea is the primal Adam for the Christ and the true prophet, which is based on a prophecy in Deuteronomy. There will come a true prophet or something like that. I think it's Deuteronomy. And you'll find that prophecy also among the Qumran Dead Sea Scrolls proof texts. I think you'll find it in the thing, in the text called the, anyway, I have a picture of it in my New Testament code book. I think you'll find it in a text either called the Florilegium or one of the other compilations of proof texts, which again consolidates further the connection of the scrolls with the Ebionite movement. And in the scrolls, of course, they call themselves the Ebionim, the poor. Others said this is the Christ. And the Christ, see how sophisticated John and all the Gospels are. This is John 7:41. Trying to think of a convenient place to go forward. Does not Scripture say that Christ comes from the seed of David? I don't know where the Scripture says that, but in the Qumran proof text, they have a whole proof text. The Florilegium is a proof text on the promises to David and his seed. and give all of the proof text for the seed of David. David comes from Bethlehem, and that's why some people somewhere, I don't know who, thought that the Messiah, whoever he was, and I don't have all the proof text linking these things, should be from Bethlehem, but there's no text that says there is a Messiah and he should come from Bethlehem, just that if that was the seed of the Davidic family, but that's 1,000 years before. But here, John doesn't know that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, if you notice. The Gospel of John doesn't know that Jesus is born in Bethlehem, because the Gospel of John then would have said. So, the synoptics have tinkered with that to make it, and giving you several scenarios. One is the no room at the inn tax scenario, where Jesus is living in Galilee and his father has to come to Bethlehem to be taxed, supposedly, which is, of course, absurd, because you wouldn't have the whole Roman Empire moving to their patronymical homes because of the taxation. You wouldn't have enough subways and airplanes and transportation systems to get them all there. So I don't think that was happening, but that is the pretext to get Jesus to Bethlehem to be born. And of course Matthew doesn't need any pretext, because why? Jesus' family is always living in Bethlehem, as we discussed, and that therefore Herod wants to kill all the Jewish children. That's Matthew's scenario. One is dated 7 AD, the other is dated before 4 BC, so the two cancel each other out as far as accurate historical information goes. We basically suggested that, and I just summarized the arguments there. You may not agree. I'm giving you, we know the traditional view, so we don't need to keep on, rereading what everybody knows. You can, we're going to pass this around again. Here. What everybody knows, we don't need to constantly harp on. But here you see, the people don't know that he comes from Bethlehem. You say, well, they don't know, but you see, he really did. Being led astray, line 47, a big usage in the Dead Sea Scrolls, used over and over again, particularly where the lying spouter is concerned. Okay, so now in chapter 8, he's on the Mount of Olives, and the Pharisees, line